and welcome to YesNetwork.com. It is exclusive content which you can get all season long, and it's time for another edition of Gordon Damer Fantasy Gamer as we get you ready for the stretch drive in fantasy football. Playoffs are right around the corner. You need some wins, so we're here to give you the information. Let's start with some fantasy finds. How about that? We'll start with some running backs. Hey, look, the Denver Broncos all banged up, but Peyton Hillis, a couple of touchdowns last week, and really they are out of options in the backfield, so go with Hillis if you need a running back to start from week to week. Then the tight end, well, there's not a lot of good value for tight end. We'll get to that in fantasy flops in a second. But how about Zach Miller? All of a sudden starting to develop a little bit of a relationship with his quarterback out in Oakland. Look, the Raiders have as many problems as a pregnant nun right now, but the tight end is not one of those problems. So go with Miller if you're looking for some tight end production. Then you got Tyler Thigpen. We've been talking about him for quite a while now. Another solid week, not turning the ball over all that much. So if you're looking for a quarterback, he's your guy. And then Justin Fargas. You know, the Raiders, they can't do a lot right, but the running game is one of their strengths. Modest numbers last week, but I think you're going to see some better numbers out of him down the stretch. Now, as far as fantasy flops are concerned, these are the guys you got to avoid. Well, Steven Jackson, he's been out for a while, but guess what? Even when he comes back, the Rams can't block. So don't go, if you have Steven Jackson, try to move him as much as possible because he's not going to be productive for you. Then Ernest Graham, he's banged up as well, could be out for the season. If you were relying on him, you were right now out of luck. And then the tight end, Anthony Fasano, looked like he was going to start putting up some numbers down in Miami, but no catches last week, looks lost as far as the passing game is concerned. And then Andre Johnson, yeah, he's leading the NFL in receiving yards right now, but his quarterback's out, and you see his numbers reflected that last week. He's a perfect guy if you're looking to make a big move. He's a guy you can move and bring in some help if you have a little bit of depth at wide receiver. So there you go. There's your fantasy finds and fantasy flops. Another edition of Gordon Damer Fantasy Gamer. We'll see you here next week on YesNetwork.com, where you can get exclusive content all season long from This Week in Football.